Hey, I'm Grant. Welcome to Stay the Channel for February 25th. Haven't done one of these in a while, which is actually against the whole point of the series. So what I want to talk about is, guess what I've been working on in the absence since the last Stay the Channel in January. Actually tried to record one of these a couple times and kept messing up the footage last few weeks. So here you go. So the big thing, if you haven't listened to that podcast, is I'm doing a cooking show with my local community TV station, and that's been taking up a fair amount of time, both just in recording it as well as just prepping. I think this week I'm making calzones on the show, and that's what I've kind of been working to for a while. And I think I've made 18 batches, not batches, 18 calzones, and it takes about I get 6 per batch. And then just making the dough, prepping it, and then a day later going out, cooking it, buying vegetables, prepping everything. That just takes up so much time. It was just very easy to have a lot of the stuff I do for the channel drop off. But that's something I'll probably be spinning off into its own channel. I kind of like the idea of it being its own standalone thing. I'm probably going to make it its own website, its own channel. It'll just be a thing. And it's at least something where I could very easily say, this is really contained. I've made the best possible product I am capable of making for this thing. And it is here, and that's it. I wash my hands of it. Whereas I think with this channel, it's always been a lot more experimental. It's just been things like, I don't really intend for anyone to watch anything on this channel. It's just really more of somewhere for me to post my homework assignments is the way I think of it. So stay the channel. I originally wanted to do this because I wanted to make it very easy to just start a camera going and just make a video. I wanted to prove I could do that. I wanted to feel out the different issues with that. Especially because you know what? If one of these fails, it's not the end of the world. Whereas if one of my cooking shows fail, that's a lot harder because there's a lot of time invested into that, and it's for more than just my sake. I can't just ditch it. I need to get it to work. But with these, I just do whatever. Same with everything on the channel. It might just be hey, you know what? I'm going to go do a Let's Play of a game just because I want 30 hours of footage to practice editing it on so I can learn all the hotkeys in my editor. That's something I did. I might want to do a podcast because that's something I can show to people as well as showing what it's like to edit live action. That's a whole awesome experience. But it was never meant to be a thing to show off with. But I want the cooking show to be that. I want that to be something where this is a nice contained product. Here's an example of what I can do. And that's what I'm really hoping that to be. As well as stuff I've been wanting to redo the website after this channel for a long time. Actors sit down and make it. And the big issue is how I design that. Because what do I want it to do? What would I want it to do in the future? Am I better off just doing a WordPress blog? Who knows? But with the cooking show, it's so contained. I know exactly what it needs to be. It needs to be a blog. I don't even need a back end because honestly, if I have to go and manually insert an article into my database to just work raw text so it renders, that's fine because I'm only going to be doing it once every few weeks. It's not an issue. Whereas if I was going to build a site for myself and the future and all these crazy things I might want to do, I don't want to phone in all that stuff. But for a simple site, that'd be perfect. It's the perfect thing to really test what I learned with Ruby on Rails or to try some simple stuff with new databases. So all that stuff is basically what I've been working on. I am hoping now that the winter is kind of coming to the end, I'm hoping to pick back up and do a lot of stuff. Basically, that caused the podcast to go on a break. That's going again. I would love to do more live action. I actually just before that's recorded a OSRS video I want to do. That's something I always go back and forth because I know it's super niche, where it's if people see a Let's Play, they get that. But I don't think when people see the OSR stuff, they don't really would care. Unless they do, and then they only probably care about that one little niche. If you look at my OSR's videos, you probably don't care about this hour-long podcast I put out every 2 weeks, because there's no real leeway between them. Not leeway, there's no shared interest, a lot of my things. Same with if you are interested in the OSR's videos, I don't think there's a huge cross-section between those people and people who would also want to watch my cooking show, or if it is, it's a very tiny one that I wouldn't ever really see noticeably. But lots of stuff I'd like to get started now that the winter's over, just because with the holidays it was super busy, and then just I had the cooking show, and that's something where I've been working on that since September, and it's just been needed a lot of feeling it out. There's so many things where it's I guess I can make this, but I just need to work on it. I've been making so many calzones, and that's just been eating my time, and it's been great. I can make some really nice calzones. They're awesome. But that just eats away time, and especially with the winter, the honest thing is I need sunlight to film. It is nice if it's easy to get people over here and they don't get snowed out, because I don't have a huge leeway in filming the podcast. So if it's like, oh, it snows on a Tuesday, it's like, well, can't get it out this week basically, because that was like the only time I could film it. So that should be interesting. But basically I'm hoping to pick everything up and it should be pretty fun from now on. Really get like back in the swing of things and try some new stuff. I still really want to move to live action, like with the OSR stuff. And generally I went with like the basic style where I just throw gameplay over my voice. That's a very common thing. But to test some more of the live action stuff, I moved more of like this style. That's why I have it set up this way instead of doing it like in my chair like I normally do. I was like, hey, let me just set this up. I break out my little slate clapboard, be like, I'm gonna do a scene, even though it's like not structured. I even have like a script, even though it's basically just say A, B, C, however I wing it that time, stuff like that, and try and just stitch that all out. As part of that as well, improving just editing skills, I would love to take my D&D game from instead just being a stream to being an edited piece. And again, this is something where it's not really meant to be about having a D&D series. It's meant to be like, can I take a 3-hour recording and in post make a story out of it? Because in theory there is a story. It's D&D. There's things happening. But it's more like, can I take this and can I make it a 20-minute episode that could stand alone? Like, it gives you all the information you want. It's got a little mini story to it. But at the same time, it isn't just, I took an hour chunk and I made 3 20-minute chunks. Like, there's actual editing. I can go in and add extra music or pacing, or like, hey, maybe I'll do this episode that's all about one specific character that's not actually in the story. Just like, it's meant to be more of a show instead of just being, here's the raw YouTube recording, you know? Especially since, like, all the time I just have issues where it's like, oh, the YouTube stream went down for some reason, you know, or I don't usually record my chat. Like, sometimes people will hop in the game, they'll just chat to me as I DM. It's like, oh, well, I'd like to record that, but it's not that immediately important. So I just feel like, hey, this might be a good time to sit down to get back in the pace of editing things and just be like, hey, manually record everything and just go from there. Especially because, like, with the episode I'm hoping to start with, it's one I wanted to have recorded well. And, like, that's honestly one of the reasons I started streaming it in the first place, was not really for an audience, again, like the rest of the channel, but just for, like, my own sake. Like, I'll go back and I'll watch some of our old games and be like, oh, yeah, we did it that way. Or, like, I really liked how that came out. I want to DM more like that. Or, man, that was an issue. Or even just, I've totally just been like, you know, I want to go watch that again. That was a cool scene. I want to be reminded and kind of be able to call back to it. Stuff like that. So that might take a fair bit of time, but I think will be a fun project. It really almost takes me back to, like, the first couple months of doing the Digression Bar podcast, where the name of the game was just staying ahead of the recording, where, yeah, I could easily record an hour of footage every 2 weeks, but staying ahead enough where I got the episode done before I record the next one, because otherwise it just starts piling up. That was the real goal. And getting to be a better editor was how I overcame that. And I think I'm going to see the same thing here, where I have to improve my workflow. I have to do bigger stuff. And if I can have this come out, this might be another thing where it's the first big thing where it's like, this is a thing I produce. Like, not just something I kind of throw together that's there, but something I actually produce. And that'd be fun. Again, I don't ever expect anything to come from it, but it's like the first step towards something bigger. I don't know what that is. Like, I think about, like, when I made the Digression Bar podcast, it was never really meant to be anything, like, as a standalone thing. But I guarantee you, between that and, like, doing, like, those simple Let's Plays and doing State of the Channel, that's what gave me the skills to do the cooking show. Whether that be just, like, being able to stand in front of a camera and talk and have energy and just do whatever, as well as just be able to go in my editor and be like, you know what, I want to cut here, I want an effect here, I want a sound effect here, I want to raise the audio here and lower it here, and I want this kind of transition. All that experience came from those, even though I wasn't, if you asked me then, I wouldn't say, yeah, I'm specifically doing this in order to make a cooking show a year from now. I didn't know that at the time. I was just doing it because then I would have the skill so that when something came up, no matter what it is, I could jump on it. And I think that's what all this is it's just further work towards something. It's just something I enjoy. I would love to have more skills. I would love to keep doing bigger and bigger things and see where that takes me. So as always, I'm Grant. This is the State of Channel for February 25th. And I will hopefully be back again next week. Bye.